The NFL season is here, and the Lockdown Defense Sports Network welcomes you to another NFL season. We are here to give you a front row seat to the pulse of the NFL. Join us every Tuesday night as we break down the latest news, dissect the hottest headlines, and fire off fearless predictions that might shape the future of the league. From the locker room drama to game-changing plays, we're just not watching football, we're living it. As the entire hit squad with young RG Robert Garcia, Coach Mike Dubb, the real AG Alex Givens, and yours truly, Coach Defense, joins forces with the NFL Nation Live crew, Ref Guru, Violator, and the Saudi pirate himself, Captain Jack Rackham. So buckle up, because this isn't your average recap. This is the Lockdown Blitz, where the takes are bold, the insights are gritty, and the passion runs deep. Let's go. All my heavy hitters and lockdown defenders, welcome to the Lockdown Blitz. I am your host, Coach Defense. Joining me today, the Hit Squad, LRG Robert Garcia, Coach Mike Dubb, and the NFL Nation Live crew, Violator Man himself. Gentlemen, what's happening?
Hold on. Football is happening.
Indeed. We are into week 9. Week 8 is in the books, man. There's a lot of headlines going on, a lot of things happening in the NFL, and some things are status quo. The Colts are still balling. They have not fallen off the cliff just yet. Will they? We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about the Eagles today. We're going to get into whether or not they're back. We're going to talk about the Vikings and their mess and their debacle that they got going on in the upper part of the country. So we're going to get into all of that. And, of course, we're going to get into some Do You Believe topics. There's going to be some good ones this week as well. But, gentlemen, real quick, going around the room, how we feeling today? Young RG, what's going on there, good brother? How you feeling?
Back in the win column, Coach. So we're feeling good. Got a little mini bye to rest up.
Indeed.
Feeling good going into week 9.
I like it. Coach Mike Dubb, good brother, how you feeling out there?
Must be nice. A rough Tuesday. It's a rough Tuesday. It's been a rough few weeks here. But, feeling all right. Can't complain.
Yeah, the key is to get Jaden back, man. To get Jaden back, then you be back in business. Got Terry back now. You got to get Jaden in the fold. We can be good to go.
Yeah. We'll get to that defense another time. But, yeah, let's start with that.
That's what they play good. The first half of the Chiefs game, man, they was balling. They just, you get no offense. It's kind of rough to sustain it. I understand.
It's hard. But, nonetheless, we here. We all right. We doing all right.
All right, good stuff. Violator Man himself, the man, the myth, the legend. Good sir, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Feeling extra great because my team didn't slide anymore. So that was a win for me right there, brother. So I'm fired up and ready for the second half.
Ain't nothing wrong with that at all. Ain't nothing wrong with that. That bye week is a guarantee that you can sit pretty, feet up, watch football, and not be affected one way or the other emotionally.
No stress.
That's it. That is it. All right. So we are Sam's ref guru this week. He is actually at the Dodgers game, living a good life. So we wish him well, and he's with us in spirit. But we're going to jump ahead, so we don't have the extra ref this week. So we're going to get right into some headlines, and there's some spicy ones here. So we're going to jump off the show with our normal segment.
Hit Squad Headlines.
All right. So we got some headlines to talk about, and it's going to be some interesting things to get to. And like I said at the top of the show, we're going to get right into this Carson Wentz thing. We're going to talk about Kevin, Carson, and JJ. So Yeah, there's a lot of things going on in Minnesota that are very unfavorable, in my opinion. Now, we'll get the panel's, I guess you can say, opinion on as well. But I'm really not liking how they've dealt and traded Carson Wentz in the past several weeks. So, to give a quick backstory, now that we have most of the information that's come to light, the October 5th game, which was in England, I believe, they were playing the Browns, I want to say. Steelers, and they were, in a heated battle, and Carson Wentz suffered a dislocated shoulder in that game. That game, he came down with a dislocated shoulder. The team knew it. Not sure exactly at what point it happened in the game, but he continued to play. He continued to play 2.5 subsequent games after that, and it's come to light now that he had not only a dislocated shoulder, he had a torn labrum and a fracture in his shoulder as well. That is now going to require surgery. He's seasoning the surgery, so he is out for the year now. Robert and I got a bird's eye view of him on Thursday night going against the Chargers, and him and I both said collectively to each other that there's no reason he should have been out there on the field at all. You can see he was writhing in pain every time he took a hit or a bump or just a knock on that shoulder. He was driving in immense pain, but they rolled him out there anyway. And in the last couple of games, and it's very, I guess you can say, very telling in what is going on with the Minnesota Vikings at this point, because JJ McCarthy is, for all accounts, been an emergency quarterback, i.e. the third quarterback on the roster in the last couple of games, which means he was medically cleared to play from a high ankle sprain that happened 5 weeks ago. So from that perspective, you glean with it from what you want, but they really rolled that man Carson Wentz out there just to die to the wolves, because they could have paid Brosman at any point, their third string quarterback, or they could have paid JJ McCarthy at any point, and they did not. So I think that I think they really did Carson Wentz a disservice, and I would really be highly upset, about how the Vikings treated him. I understand he wants to be a baller and wants to be, a tough guy and things of that nature. It is a gladiator sport, but from the medical staff to the coaching staff, in my opinion, they did him a great disservice, and sometimes you got to save players from themselves, and they did not do that in this particular aspect of it. So I want to get the panel's opinion on this particular aspect of it, and please tell me how you feel about it. Do you think this is not only, I guess you can say, isolated incident, maybe it's a microcosm of what goes on in the league week in and week out? So yeah, give me your thoughts and tell me how you feel about this, because I'm really up in arms about how they treated Carson Wentz. Again, no man should be treated that way and feel like he's forced to play because they don't want to, quote unquote, throw anybody else out there or protect their, future quarterback for whatever their reason that might be. I'm gonna start with Young RG. Please tell me exactly how you feel about this particular topic, and give me your thoughts on what you think what do you think the Dolphins' rationale was?
The Dolphins?
I mean, not the Dolphins, sorry, the Vikings.
No, you're good. Yeah, I honestly couldn't even tell you what their rationale was, because the thought process behind this move to essentially just leave Wentz out there, like DZ saying, they legally tried to kill that man on live TV. Like they are down 24 with 6 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. The game is clearly done. You have no shot of coming back and winning that. You have, like you mentioned, Brosmer, the rookie third stringer, who is itching to just get some kind of playing time, I bet, because he knows he's not going to get anything behind JJ, and you brought in Wentz.
Right.
So I truly don't understand, and it blows my mind because we, prior to this, had always looked at the Vikings as like a very well-run organization, takes cares of its players. They were the first team to give Kirk that fully guaranteed 3-year deal. For whatever you think of Kirk, the quarterback, the player, we're just talking about NFL players in general, you always cheer a guy can get his money. Obviously the quarterback's a little different, but especially that's what all these players strive for is guaranteed contracts, and the Vikings provided that. And to just see the disservice they did this veteran man, I mean, like you mentioned, he gets injured against the Steelers overseas. There's no reason at that point, like even if JJ, you're not comfortable starting him, throw in the third string. Like he's going to be much better than a hobbled, one-armed Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz already, not trying to bag on Wentz more than he already has gotten, but he's not a great quarterback to start with. So why not just see what you got in this kid, Brosmer? And hey, maybe it's another Brock Purdy situation, and then it's like, now you find that out before you got to pay JJ. Great. But no, instead you leave this man out there to die. And I'm sure a lot of people turned off the game by the time we had talked about this in our group chat. Like I said, down 24 with 6 minutes left. They throw him back out there and he gets destroyed 2 more times. And then, they cut to the pass break or whatever. It cuts back to him and he's just on the floor, just writhing in pain. And Kirk Herbstreit had the audacity to say, well, you got to maintain composure in that situation. Hell no, dude. They just threw my ass out there to die. I'm not maintaining for nobody.
Right.
I'm going to let this building and these people watching know how I'm feeling and know how I'm getting treated here. And regardless of what you think of Wentz the player, that is not – nobody should be forced to trot out there with those injuries, especially a quarterback.
Yeah, and I would like to believe that, I would argue that Kirk Herbstreit probably is regretting those words now. Now he knows the full story, because that is the very, at the time, I'm not even sure why he said it to begin with, but even knowing what you know now, you definitely need to walk that back and say, hey, that was very ill-timed comment and things of that nature. But yeah, again, if he's in pain, clearly he's in pain. I mean, these guys are football players. Carson Wentz been playing football all his life. I'm sure he's dealt with a high level of pain before. So if he's writhing that bad, it has to be for a reason. He's not being dramatic for effect. I don't believe that at all. So I definitely agree with you there that Kirk Herbstreit's comments were very ill-timed, and I would have just kept my mouth closed on that one. But that's just me. Bye later, good sir. How you feel about this particular situation? What are your thoughts on it?
Here's my take on it. And, every organization has their tier set up as far as their QBs. But in Minnesota's case, this is just me watching the game myself and knowing he was already injured. You saw that shoulder had that brace on it.
Oh, yeah.
That's when you really shouldn't be out there. So he showed the warrior spirit. But here's the deal, and just my opinion now, that Minnesota still is not confident in J.J. McCarthy.
I said that weeks ago.
They're still not confident in him. So, yes, they kind of forced Wentz to go out there. And the beating that he took in the Chargers game alone had me cringing. So when he's laying on the turf, like you say, just screaming in pain, that guy's hurt because he usually drags himself up, shakes it off, and lets go. Well, he did that a couple of times in that game. But I forgot who hit him, but when he hit the turf, he like, look, take me home right now.
Right.
But I think Minnesota really is regretting, letting their other quarterback leave, trade him to Seattle and thinking that they had this golden goose with JJ. I don't think they're that confident in him running that offense.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. Yeah, I don't believe that they have any faith in what he is. I think there's his issues with injuries. I think his frame, people have been questioning, he doesn't have enough weight, behind him to, sustain the beating that he would take in the NFL and things of that nature. So I think they have a lot of buyer's remorse. I'm right there with you. Taking him high in the draft like they did, moving off from Sam Darnold, who, by all accounts, is still playing good ball, despite being gone from Minnesota, because a lot of people were giving them the mantra or the tag that he was only good in Minnesota because of Kevin O'Connell. But guess what? Even Kevin O'Connell's having trouble fixing or getting JJ to the point where he can be a franchise quarterback. So, hey, at some point, it's got to be a little bit of a talent mixed with good coaching to be able to be a good quarterback in this league, and we're seeing it, I think.
And look, Sam Darnold is having the Seahawks close to being in the playoffs, in my prediction.
Yeah,
they're right there in the running.
Yeah, I think
they're right there for the division.
Yeah, they're right there in the thick. I think if the playoffs are today, they'll be in it. So absolutely. So yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, we probably should title this segment that buyer's remorse for sure. Coach Mike Dub, good brother, how you feeling, and what's going on with your takes on Minnesota and their mess? I guess we're gonna call it.
I agree 100% with you all as far as nobody should be forced to put their body on the line and to be in a situation where their future is in jeopardy. Not just talking about playing, but life after football in general. You always hope that guys are put in positions to where their safety is number one, first and foremost. That being said, I'm not super surprised by it, and I don't think that the Vikings are on that far of that far, I guess, gone of an organization, or that far to one side of the spectrum, further than any other organization or any other coaching staff that do this all the time. Sometimes it's with quarterbacks, sometimes it's with other positions, sometimes it's with even when it comes down to the doctors giving certain opinions on certain injuries. This happens all the time, and I'm curious to know how much Carson Wentz had to do with his going out there. Did they ask him? Did he say I'm good? Did he say I'm going to give it a try? I would just be curious to hear Carson Wentz's side of the story as far as how was it put to him? Was he given much of an option? Was he not given an option? Did they know that he was going to be okay with it when they asked him? Whatever the case is, and of course, sometimes they don't even give the player the option to be out there, and that's what we're looking for in situations like this, similar to the Tua situation. You would hope that Miami would take the option out of his hand, because a player being a player is going to say, I'm okay, I'm gonna thug it out. If that was the case, if that was what happened with Carson Wentz, I'm gonna be honest. I kind of understand where the Vikings are coming from. If he said he wanted to go, if he said he's okay with it, if this is something that he wanted to do, and he still gives us the best chance of winning, listen, he's a grown man. We're in the business of professional sports. Let him rock out. If that's the case, then I understand where they're coming from. Don't agree with it, but I understand it. If it was a case where he didn't really have an option, and they just they pushed him out there, whatever it is, then that would be something different. And I would hope that the league would start putting in some type of accountability issues when it comes down to injuries and disclosure of injuries, and looking out for the best interest of the players. Now, we all know that's not going to happen, but I think that would probably be the only way that you avoid this, because you're going to get it again. You're going to get it again. You're going to get it again. And like I said, it might not always be the quarterback. It might not always be external injuries. Sometimes it may be, dealing with concussions. It may be dealing with all kinds of things. And, of course, dealing with these guys and professional athletes, sometimes that's the whole point of the team doctor, is to take it out of their hands. So if it was that serious, if anything, I would have more of a problem with the team doctors than I would the coaches. Just because that's the whole point of the team doctor. If he can't go, tell me he can't go, and don't give me that option. But don't play this game where he's medically cleared, or he's good to go, or it's up to him. Because if that's the case, I'm going to go with the guys that I got there. So I would be curious to hear Carson Wentz's side of it. What was the status? Did they try to push him out there? Was he insistent upon it? Because he may be thinking that this is also my last chance, playing in this league. That might be, that might have been his mindset, where, listen, I do or die. This is my last chance. This is my hometown team. I'm never going to get an opportunity like this again. I'm going to go out and I'm going to ride till the wheels fall off. So you never know. And maybe we never will know, but it is unfortunate. Wish him the best. Hope a speedy recovery for him.
Yeah. I think that was his motivation. But again, like I said before, at some points, the coaches and the medical staff got to save the players from themselves. Because again, they're understanding that they are in a performance-based sport, very highly compensated performance-based sport. So they have to understand that they're going to try their best. I mean, even if my arm is hanging off, I'm going to try to go out there, especially if it's my last chance. But but you got to realize that sometimes you got to let the better situation prevail, in a sense where you have to understand that he is going to do more detriment to himself than help by going out there and trying to fight the good fight, quote unquote. So I don't know. And this is all in the umbrella of all this is all predicated upon the fact that we're protecting JJ. That's the biggest thing, and we people aren't really focusing on the fact that they're trying to quote unquote protect this kid to the depths where they don't want to roll him out there too early to embarrass themselves and him because he's not ready, all for the sake of rolling Carson Wentz out there with half an arm. That's the crazy part to me. And I think that's the ugliness of this whole situation, is the fact that, yes, You didn't want to roll an undrafted rookie out there. You didn't want to roll out your heir apparent and your first round draft pick out there. So you want to let Carson Wentz with a half hanging arm out there to, basically, put himself in a situation where he's going to be out for the year anyway. Now that we're hearing rumors that they're looking for a veteran quarterback, they didn't call on Russell Wilson and called about Kirk Cousins, who said by some miracle that he wants to start for a team again. And clearly he didn't watch the film of himself last week. So that's another conversation. But, that again, this tells you everything without saying the quiet part out loud, is that they don't have any faith in J.J. McCarthy. And I've been saying it. That's why I said that if Carson Wentz was healthy, and clearly I didn't know the extent of his injury when I said this, but I said, based upon my feeling in my gut about how they're handling the situation, they didn't believe in him, and I thought Carson was going to be the starter for the rest of the season. Now, because he's hurt and because he's out, they have no choice but to roll him back out there. But I'm gonna watch with bated breath to see how he performs in his next game, because I think there's going to be a disaster, in my opinion, from J.J. McCarthy's perspective.
I think the Vikings, I think it's a mixture of the Vikings got really unlucky with bringing in Sam Darnold the same year you draft McCarthy. Because at that point, after Sam balls out, you can't just cut a first-round pick. The GM and the ownership is going to be like, yeah, no, that's not happening. Right. You invested in this, so now we are going to see what he is. And so you I feel like in that regard, I'm not in any way justifying how the Vikings handled this situation in particular.
Right.
But in that regard, solely looking at the draft and the signing of Sam Darnold, off season, they kind of screwed, because nobody was expecting Sam. I don't even think they were expecting Sam to absolutely blow up like he did. Obviously, nobody expected it. You go get 15 wins. Exactly. It's a really tough situation to be in, because on one hand, if you commit to the rookie, everybody's looking at you like you're crazy. This dude just led you to 15 wins. What are you doing? But if you commit to the dude that just led you to 15 wins, everybody's going to be like, you just drafted a rookie in the first round who you claim is going to be your next savior, your next franchise quarterback, and you're already going to give up on him, and he hasn't even played a snap of regular season football. It's like, what do you do?
Yeah, I agree with you, Robert. Here's the deal. Like you say, when it was time to pay Sam Darnold, and that, I think it was a money issue. They didn't want to re-up him. So it's like, well, in their eyes, then you become expendable, because we got this shiny brass rookie, but then they see him every day at practice, and they know. And I'm referring back to the Vikings-Chargers game. That O-line reminded me of our O-line, the way they protected Carson too. So, they are in a pickle right now, because they got to roll JJ out there, and he'll be like a deer in headlights.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I would argue and kind of push back on what RG said, is the fact that I think we talked about this a couple of weeks ago about how we felt like quarterbacks should play or should not play when they get drafted high. Right. They could have gave him the Jordan Love treatment if they had signed Sam Darnold to a 2-year deal. For similar to what Seattle gave him, they could afford it, because clearly JJ's on a rookie deal, so they're not paying him anything. Only person that gets paid in premium dollars on that team entirely is Justin Jefferson, and just him alone. There's no other high paid contract, so you could afford Sam Darnold. Gave him 2 years to sit behind Sam Darnold and kind of figure out whether or not JJ can be the guy. And if not, by the time time is up, either you get back in bed with him or you get back into the draft and draft another one. But yeah, I think they dropped the ball on this one. And again, not trying to look bad in the media is what drives a lot of bad decisions. Because again, they want to be justified in taking JJ that high, and a lot of people had questions about whether or not he was a first-round pick in the beginning. Right. And now they're looking at it like, yeah, now I think they were right, we were wrong, but we don't want to tell anybody.
That's called egg on the face.
That's for sure. That is it.
What did Seahawks give Darnold? What was that contract they gave him?
I want to say it was like $33 a year, something of that nature.
I think it's tough because in that regard, Darnold's like, I've earned a long-term deal, and the Vikings were never going to give him a long-term deal.
Yeah,
the Vikings at that point were going to be like, all right, you balled out. Let's give you another 1-year deal. And like, no matter how much money the Vikings were going to give him, he was never going to stay with them unless they gave him that 3-year free deal because he played away good. And that's why I say it really is unfortunate in that regard for the Vikings, because before that season ever happens, nobody's expecting him to do anything. He signs in the offseason for no money. Everybody's like, oh, whatever, it's a backup quarterback signing. They're going to draft a quarterback in in this upcoming draft. They get screwed essentially because I think he was the 5th quarterback. Was he before or after Nick's?
He was.
I think he was
before
Knicks.
Before Nick's, so he was the 4th quarterback taken in that draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the Falcons moved up. Remember, I think the Falcons moved
right
up
to take Penix. Right. So it's like your hands are tied, and now it looks even worse because Nix doesn't look like a world beater, but he looks better. Obviously, looks better than JJ. We haven't seen JJ.
Right.
So like that. What do you like? How do you win there if you're the Vikings? And I'm sure, obviously, hindsight's 2020. They should have kept Darnold. They should have traded off JJ, but in the moment, that's the owner would have looked down on you like, what are we doing? We're gonna look like a joke of a franchise trading away our franchise QB a year after we drafted him.
Right. Now I asked this question before we move on. Do you think they kind of got stuck because they didn't expect the Falcons to take Penix and they were thinking about taking him instead? And it'll end up stuck. We kind of stuck in the middle. Like, we got to take JJ. We don't really like the Knicks that much, so we went with the next best thing. That's
probably more true than any of us know. Because you look how Knicks fell, and Denver came up and got him.
Right.
And I thought my team would at least pick. We needed a quarterback too, and let this guy go. And now that I see him balling out, it's like, what are you guys thinking in the front office, man? But hindsight is 2020.
That's for sure. That is for sure. You're right, Cool Kev. For the same price, you could gamble on Darnold instead. I agree. And the contract is $33.5 million a year for 3 years. Yeah, $100 million.
Yeah, $100 million. Yeah.
And look what we ended up with.
Yeah.
What'd you give Gino?
40, I think 43.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Yep. So
yeah, one thing I will say as we move on, and this is not so much Vikings related or Darnold related or anything like that, but where's the line between giving, I guess, players the option to play and taking it out of their hands? Like, where does it become? And of course, we always talk about player safety. If it's a concussion issue, that's a given. But when we're talking about ankles or shoulders or anything like that, and I ask that because there's a thin line between pulling Wentz out when he's having the troubles that he's having, and also letting him have his heroic moment where he makes a historic comeback on a separated shoulder. Or I don't know if you guys remember back in the early 2000s when Byron Leftwich couldn't put weight on his, what I mean? He's scared, what I mean? So it's like, how many times did we give Brett Favre credit for thugging out a game with a whatever injury he had?
Broken ribs, throwing darts to Calvin Johnson and back in the 2000s. Yeah.
Rivers playing on a torn ACL in the championship game.
Exactly. Yeah. So the question becomes, where's the line drawn between, saving a player from having his heroic moment and, having his best interest at heart?
That's a good question. But the problem is, it is a very fine line. But I think the problem is that you have, because once the doctor rules you out, like if a doctor rules you out, that's it. There's no argument there. He's done. He can't play.
Absolutely.
But the problem is that these doctors are paid by the team. They're team doctors.
Yes.
So, we can harken back to the whole Dayball and Jackson Dart conversation a few weeks ago about his concussion. They took him out of the game, and Dayball violated rules by going into the tent and screaming at the doctors to hurry up and clear him and get him back on the field so he could be in the game. So when you have that type of pressure in real time, you see it with your own two eyes. What you think is going on behind the scenes? They're, have you watched the movie Any Given Sunday? How the coach were pressuring the coaches and the doctors? Everybody, the owners, the coaches, everybody was pressuring the doctor to clear certain players and not clear certain players based upon who they needed and who they didn't need. So there's that aspect of it. So only thing you can do to solve that is have independent doctors. But yet again, there could be underhanded things going on with that as well. So we just don't know. But I think that's the biggest issue, because the fact that they cleared JJ and Knicks to play in that game is malpractice, in my opinion. Is malpractice. I don't see how you do both. How JJ is good enough to play, but he doesn't play. But Carson has a half broken shoulder, and he's supposed to be good to play, but he shouldn't be. So I don't. That whole thing is puzzling to me.
Desperation.
Yeah, you're trying. They already were at the bottom of the division. They're trying to fight their way out of it. So they're trying to give themselves a shot. But again, not at the sacrifice of Wentz's, clearly season, maybe career. I think that's unfair. Yeah. But we'll see. Any other final thoughts on this before we move on?
Rest up, Wen.
Expendable. That's the word. Expendable.
Yeah, they definitely treat him like he was expendable. That's for sure. And not a Sylvester Stallone movie.
Oh yeah.
Sure. That is for sure. Yes, indeed. All right. So going down the line with another headline. Let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles real quick. They have hit their stride in the last couple of games after we browbeat them about whether or not they were, falling apart in a sense that they dropped 2, now they won 2 in dominating fashion. So do we feel like the Eagles have figured things out, and are they back in the Super Bowl conversation? I'm gonna start with Coach Mike Dub, because he has the bird's eye view, pun intended, about what goes on with the Eagles in his division.
I said it before. I mean, there was nothing wrong with them in the first place. It's the NFL. There's going to be some bumps. There's going to be some bruises. There's going to be some things that you try to, figure out along the way. But, this has always been a talented roster. This has always been, a team that's figured it out before. They went through something similar like this last year, where, everybody was, getting on them and coming down on them and basically saying they're not looking how they should look, all this stuff like that. And then they put it together. Now, this time it's just been a little bit different. I wonder if, how much of their game plan was changed because they knew AJ wasn't going to be out. I don't know if that made a difference, but one thing I will say is it's hard to, and I know this is, they have vehemently shut down requests for AJ and all this stuff like that, but it's hard not to see that this team does look different when they don't have to worry about, trying to game plan for AJ or trying to get him involved, or there's not a big dark cloud over, well, I wonder, if AJ is going to be happy. And of course, they shoot it down all the time. AJ says he just wants to win, but you can't help but read body language. You can't help but have to answer those questions in the locker room. And, I know, like I said, they're shutting down trade requests for him, but this team looks different when they don't have to worry about that. And then you got Devontae Smith, who's pretty much showing that he can shoulder the weight of being a number one.
Yeah.
So, I know, like I said, this is not a question that they really want to answer right now, but I can't help but to wonder how much of a cloud AJ is in that locker room. Like they said, they've seen this before with T.O., and maybe they don't want to repeat, maybe that's why, they're so adamant about now, that's not what this is, whatever the case is. But this team looks different when they embrace their identity, which is, ground and pound. They're not going to have 2,000-yard receivers, or they don't need to have 2,000-yard receivers. They have a certain identity. The problems come in when they try to do a little bit too much or try to share a little bit, of the rock and all that stuff like that. So I'm just curious to see how they'll handle things in the back end of the season, if they'll embrace their identity or if they're going to, try to keep everybody happy.
Okay. All right, that's good stuff. Yeah, and a Cool Cav's comment about him and Antonio Brown kind of made me feel like the more modern version of Stephon Diggs and how the Bills moved off of him because they felt like he was too much of a distraction. Productive, but just too much of a distraction. So they felt like they just needed to get that. I guess you can say, I won't call it negativity out the locker room, but it seems that that's how they feel. They feel like they were saging and cleansing the locker room after he was traded. So, and they haven't missed a beat. For the most part. So, yeah, it might be one of those things. Could be. Violator, how you feel about this situation? Do you think the Eagles have figured things out? Are they back on track? Are they Super Bowl contenders in your eyes? What say you?
I'm thinking that they tried to satisfy too many people. Like Coach Dubs, it got away from who they were. And they've always had the ability to put the ball downfield when they needed to, but they play a ball control style offense, which is fine if you can do that. You keep the other quarterback watching you.
Right.
So and I'm not worried about them because as long as Howie Roseman is up in there, he's going to get players that fit their scheme. So I give him I tip my hat to him for that, man.
One of the best GMs in the league, bar none.
Yep.
One of the best GMs in the league. He just keeps pulling off miracle after miracle, or maybe it's just status quo. He just wakes up and pulls off trades and like it's nobody's business, man. And his flipping of that roster since Jalen Hurts has been there, especially, it's been remarkable in my opinion. I mean, hell, he even talked Brandon Graham out of retirement. Now he's playing again. So there you go. Okay.
I'm convinced he's got dirt on some of these other GMs in the league for some of these moves that he makes. Because I'm like, there's no way, man.
I'm gonna say you know that happens, man.
It does. You're right. I'm going to say the moment he gets a trade within a division that's like eye-opening, then we got to call the question. We got to do some investigation. Some odd team stuff got to happen. If he gets Jerry Jones to flip him a good player or something crazy like that, then yeah.
If Micah would have got sent to Philly, there would have been.
Well, that's the first thing that came to mind. Yeah, that was the first thing that came to mind.
Right. I'm sure he called.
Oh, they had a trade package. It was 2 first-round picks, 2 defensive players. I mean, for what it's worth, it was a great package, but you're never going to do that.
It probably was better than the Packers package, to be honest.
Oh, 100%.
They want to see him but 2 times a year for the rest of his career. That's what that was.
Yeah,
absolutely. It would have haunted them.
Oh, yeah. You see what he did to him in that one game, so yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They had to double team him in the entire game. They didn't leave him free but once, and he got a sack when he did.
But somebody else is eating while they're double teaming him, though. You know how that works.
Rashawn Gary, that's right. Yes. Indeed. All right, young RG, what you got on the Eagles conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I've always Eagles have, similarly to the Chiefs, earned that kind of respect of, like, even when they lose games or even if they lose 2 in a row like they did this year, you don't necessarily panic. Even that year when they did, 10-1. And then they kind of lost I think it was like 4 out of the last 6 or something like that down the stretch going into the playoffs. Ultimately lost to the Bucs in that first round. They're still going to win games. They're still going to compete for that division. The NFC East, as Mike Dubb knows, it's a very probably the most parity division in the league in that no same team wins that 2 years in a row. I think we're going on like 25 years or something now of that being the case. So it's, they're always just going to be a threat. Hurts is a great quarterback. He's a Super Bowl MVP. For all the hate that Jalen Hurts has got,
which I don't understand, but go ahead.
Which I truly don't understand either. But he has been great these last 2 weeks. I'm sure he's shut the haters up in terms of passing these last 2 weeks. 7 touchdowns, no interceptions these last 2 weeks. That's the biggest thing right there. Yep. No interceptions. He's only got 1 on the season. So for people that are like, well, what does Jalen Hurts do great? He doesn't turn the ball over. That is a great trait to have. I'm not saying that Herbert isn't a great quarterback, but he puts the ball in harm's way. He is an elite quarterback and he can make those throws. So that's why he does that. But that is a trait to not turn the ball over and still produce, as well as the Eagles have been. So yeah, Hurts is definitely a fantasy stud. I'm sure Coach knows all about that.
That what we doing? Okay. All right, dude. I remember that one, Cool Cam. But listen, who's at the top of the mountain right now? I'm up a little higher than you right now. I'm on a second in scoring behind young RG over here.
I was gonna say who's at the top of the mountain, Coach. I think right here.
I said to say I'm above him, not you.
Yeah.
You're a DZ, but I'm flying high right now on that side. I'm good. I'm good to go.
Cool Kev with the low blow, the low hanging fruit, man.
He did beat me that week, but since then I went on a run. Thank you, Cool Kev. Since that loss, I haven't lost. How about that?
Got motivated, Coach.
It's best to let sleeping dogs lie sometimes.
I'm saying.
But yeah, Hurts, great quarterback. No issues with him. He's proven it these last couple of weeks. And Saquon, I mean, finally Saquon having the breakout game. This is what the Eagles fans have been waiting for. 150 rushing yards. First handoff he gets of the game, he takes 65 yards to the house. For people who don't understand just how badly he needed that run in and of itself, that 65-yard run, he had more rushing yards in that one rush alone than he did in his last 6 games this season.
Right.
So, I mean, that just goes to show you. I mean, that's what makes Saquon great is he has that pop ability to just at any given moment, no matter where you are on the field, he can take it the distance and just completely flip the game on its head. And in this case, he just gave the Eagles insane momentum to ultimately, beat. And we'll get to Scattaboo, I'm sure, later in the show. But truly unfortunate. Prayers that we won't talk about injury. Prayers up to him, man. That
for sure, man.
That looked atrocious.
Brutal injury there, man. Definitely prayers up to Scattaboo, man. He was having a great year. Definitely didn't like to see that at all. But yeah, I'm about to buy my ticket back on the Eagles train. Let me say it that way. I'm working on it. I'm standing at the ticket booth, looking at the prices, saying, do I really want to purchase this ticket and ride back down to Philly? I'm not sure yet, but I'm thinking about it. Because, like I said, those issues that they had were valid issues. Their pass rush, they went out and got Brandon Graham for that reason. Uche look like he's doing pretty much better. Jalen Carter is on the field consistently between his suspension and injuries that was affecting it. And the offense just didn't look right. For the first few weeks under this new OC, so that was a concern. But he, amongst everybody else, just decided not to be stubborn and to say we're just going to lean on what we do best and run the freaking football, and all of a sudden that opens up everything else, and they look like a well-oiled machine again. So if that is the situation and they figure that thing out, then yeah, I think they're right back in the conversation for sure. Assuming they can, they can hold people down on defense and they can run the offense like they ran in the last 2 weeks, then yeah, I would be concerned. With Jaden Daniels, especially, coming back from his hamstring injury, trying to see how healthy he's going to be for the next couple of weeks. They got to get back on track. The Dallas Cowboys are just a complete and utter Jekyll and Hyde conversation, because you don't know what you're going to get week to week. They're going to put up 50 on you one week and give up 45, or they're going to give up 45 and not put up 10. We don't know what they're going to do. So, that's the conversation itself that's going to give the Eagles a leg up to win the division outright. And then, then you have to deal with the rest of the NFC. But yeah, they look back. They look be getting things back on track, and rightfully so, and at the right time and place. Because you don't want to try to figure this out in the playoffs. That's for sure.
I think when Jaden Daniels comes back, though, it's going to kind of change the music a little bit.
I agree that. Yeah.
Because the Commanders are no joke, even without him. But like I said, when that kid comes back, he's got that it factor that inspires everybody else on the team.
Yeah, indeed, for sure. So the offense would look much better, especially with Terry being back in the fold and things of that nature as well. So they're definitely going to make some noise. But the problem is they put themselves behind the 8-ball by losing a couple of games with him being out. That was the only issue. So that's the only thing. But and we're not going to talk like Dub not here, but
no. I just like the way that organization is run.
I'm joking, but yeah, it's just funny that he's right here sitting here like, yeah, I know, I don't know already, but.
Well, no, I'm probably more critical, as we all are. You know what I mean? We look a little deeper into it. So, but yeah, I hope so.
Chargers fans were ready to fire Harbaugh after a loss to the Colts, to the number 1 seeded Colts, mind you, man. So believe me, we know fans can get extremely volatile when losses happen. But
it's so crazy, and I think everybody can share the sentiment if you've gone to games and dealt with people in person, right? Like, I love Chargers fans in person, but when they get on social media sometimes,
oh my God, man,
it could drive you up a wall. And I'm like, just relax.
I gotta
not Aaron Rodgers' book, just relax.
I gotta remind myself sometimes that sometimes some of these people are on here just intentionally trying to troll and intentionally trying to engagement farm and trying to get that reaction out of you. And so I can't lie though, I'll be scrolling, I'll be seeing it like inside. I'm like, oh my God, I want to just type a whole novel to why you're wrong.
Right.
But I'm like, I gotta let it go because I don't want to fall for the rage bait.
Yeah, and it get me every now and then. Like when it's so ridiculous.
They do.
This like prime example, we'll move on after this. But a guy posted a top like I think it was a montage of Oregon quarterbacks. It was Bo Nix. It was the kid. It was Dante. What's the kid name?
Dylan Gabriel.
Dylan Gabriel and the kid that plays now. They left Herbert off it all together.
And Mariota.
They left Herbert off all together. And I'm like, WTF? Like, what are we doing out here? And then somebody was like, you know what? He just did that to click. So like, you're right. He got me. I digress. But I was after like 20, like 1,000 views on my post after I reamed him and a bunch of replies. And I was like, all right, you know what? He got me. Hit me with the engagement farming, move. But I had to say something. I just want to let that go. I couldn't let it go.
I've learned over the years to just let them vent. Let them vent.
Yeah. And usually I do, but when that one, you might have called me on the wrong day. That's all I can say. On the wrong day.
I mean, even though they hit a nerve, but I just learned not to respond to it.
You're right. I got to get better with it.
Leave it alone.
I'm at about 5%. I'm at about 5% now, and every now and then, about 5% of the time I'll respond. I'll work on it. I'm a work in progress. But speaking of teams that's not working in progress, let's talk about the Indianapolis Colts. They're flying high, 7-1, and they only lost one game, and that was to the Rams, and that was a highly contested battle. So, how do we feel about the Colts this particular week, going into week 9? It don't look like they're slowing down. I mean, just in all intents and purposes, they don't look like they're slowing down at all. Nope. Do we have to, really, really, give Daniel Jones the Birdman treatment and say put some respect with his name? Do we got to do it? Because I'm not sure the team has a weakness in all honesty. But Violet, I'll go let you go first. I see you got something.
Yeah.
Like
speaking of Danny Dimes, put some respect on that young man's name.
Okay.
You know what happened? What I see when he came to the Colts, whatever turmoil he had gone through with the Giants, he seems more settled now, and he acts more like a leader now than he did with the Giants. So they've kind of given him free reign. They always had that running game, and like I said, the defense is still top notch too. So that's a team that's feeling good about themselves. They're young, and they're believing in their system, and they play to their players' strength. So watch out for the Colts. That horseshoe is coming kicking.
I agree. You're right. That's a good one. That is a good one right there. You're absolutely right. That's a bar. That's a bar. I like that. But so, do you feel like there's any weaknesses in the team that anybody can exploit at this point?
Maybe corners. That's the only weakness I see on them. Maybe, but
and that's injury.
Yeah.
That's not even based on talent. They're just injured desperately at cornerback right now.
Yeah, it's not a lot. There's not a lot to harp on. It really isn't. And
if I were playing them, I would try to get up on them if possible, as early. To take away the run game, make them one dimensional.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a reality that is, but
easier said than done.
Yeah. Even to the fact that I might take the ball first. Try to score and put the pressure on them. To where they it's not like
they got to go up tempo. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. But
I like it. They play so balanced though. See, they can hit you with the run or pass at will. And Daniel Jones, like I said, he seems so relaxed with what he's doing now. He's in the zone, man. So
he really is.
Yeah. He's playing well. And their offensive line, the running game, it's a good compliment. Oh, yeah. I mean, right now they have arguably two of the top MVP candidates on the offensive side of the ball. JT and then himself, Danny Dimes. So possibly a rookie of the year. Also as well with Tyler
Warren. Yeah.
So they have everything that they need right now. We'll look to see how things shape up when those December months. I got to take a look at their schedule and see who the tough matchups that they'll get. But I would love to see them match up against some of the tougher opponents. And see how that goes.
I got one for you to play the Chiefs in a couple of weeks.
That'll be good. That'll be good.
Yeah, I'm playing Chiefs in a couple of weeks. I'm waiting for that one.
That'll be
that's gonna be the tell.
Is that in KC?
I believe it is. Let me double check.
That'll really be the tell then. If they can take down KC in KC.
I'm saying. That's why I'm getting ahead of it now, so we can be the first to say, "Hey, we told you so."
Yeah, the internet will blow up on that one.
Yeah.
Check back to the podcast week 2. I said Daniel Jones and this Colts team are winning the division, and that was when they only had those 2 fluky wins. That's coming off of that field goal loss to the Broncos, in which, the Broncos claimed leverage call, yada yada.
Yeah.
I said it, man. I'm like, I think this O-line had a really down year last year.
Yeah.
And it's bounced back in a major way. Jonathan Taylor, we know what he does, we know what he represents. And he's just been absolutely everything they could hope for and more.
That's for sure.
And I think I personally, I know you want to talk about Danny Dimes' MVP. I'm gonna go with JT.
Don't spoil it. We got a segment to talk about. Don't spoil it now.
Oof. All right. My bad.
Yeah. But yeah, they do play them in on 11/23, the week before Thanksgiving, the 23rd in KC. So that's me to tell. They got the Steelers at Pittsburgh. Then they got the Falcons and overseas, and then they come back to play KC on November 23rd. So that's gonna be the game. That's gonna be the game. Because I don't the way the Steelers are playing right now, I don't think they can beat the Colts either. In all honesty, the Falcons can't for sure, in my opinion. So yeah, they'll be flying high, rolling in there about 9-1, rolling the KC 9-1, and they're gonna see what's going on. And the KC might not lose between now and then either. So yeah, that's gonna be the game.
And they get KC off a bye. That's huge.
Typically, Andy Reid is really good off a bye. So that's gonna be good. They go to KC.
Yeah.
They're going to KC and beat them with that. We talking
They
right
got
now.
Lou Anarumo too as their DC, and Lou Anarumo is famous for giving KC fits in the playoffs. So
that's a good point. He's the former Bengals coordinator who beat them in that playoff run. They took them to the Super Bowl. So yeah,
yes sir.
Yes, sir. Well, how about that? Lou Anarumo will get a few players on defense. All of a sudden, he can coach again, right? How about
Shocker.
that? How about that? Yeah. Okay. So I think we're all in agreement that the ultimate test is the KC game, but we do believe that they're well rounded. They don't see a whole lot of chinks in the armor. I think we all agree with that, right?
Oh yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I think their biggest obviously is can you get to Daniel Jones rushing 4? But that's that's typically the fact that we're saying that about Daniel Jones
and
that team is a scary thought.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is, because you look at it again. Nobody had, and I'm just just to be hyperbolic real quick. If we had to get to the end of the season and they gave out awards, if Daniel Jones won MVP, Jonathan Taylor won Offensive Player of the Year, and Tyler won Rookie of the Year, all of one team. Nobody, and I mean nobody, had that damn bingo card at the start of the season. Sorry,
no,
not at all.
There might be one Colts, truther hiding in a ditch somewhere that's like, I knew it.
I'm going to need proof of that, buddy, because I think you're lying. I think you're lying. I think he was probably cussing that they got Daniel Jones in the first place. So yeah, I don't know about that one. I need receipts. On that one. But yeah, definitely not seeing a whole lot of chinks in the armor, man. They got to put some respect on their name because they're doing big things. But speaking of doing big things, let's move on and talk about some future planning. We talked about Daniel Jones playing well this year, but what are the future plans for him because he's playing so well? So let's talk about Daniel Jones's future real quick. Do we believe that based upon his level of play and if he continues on a trajectory, are the Colts and the Daniel Jones regime in business to be a long-term couple for that matter? Are we looking at a long-term deal for Daniel Jones in the offseason if he does continue on this trajectory and take the team far? Let's start with Dub. How you feel about this particular situation? Do you think that the Colts, would be foolish to let him walk? Kind of the Sam Darnold thing we talked about earlier, or are they invested?
Wow, you got to be invested. I mean, what more do you look for in somebody?
Good point.
I don't. Sometimes these teams overthink themselves. If a guy's playing well in your system and they're winning games, you pay him, you keep him. That's your quarterback. You don't have to go and do a whole lot of. I had this problem, and I hate to bring up the Commanders with this, but Kirk Cousins, which sounds crazy. I thought that he played decent for us. He was setting all kinds of passing records. He was doing all kinds of things like that. I felt like, let's not make it bigger than it has to be. You got yourselves a capable quarterback. Let's stop trying to, wish for better. You know what I mean? And just trying to find the Tom Brady, the Peyton Manning, the sexy franchise guy that just came in being all this. No, look, you got a guy that's giving you all that you can ask for in this case, where he's got your team with, arguably 2 guys up for the MVP, another guy up for Offensive Rookie of the Year. What more are you looking for? Pay him. It's not like you have a rookie on the team that you're trying to, see what he's about or anything like that. If you don't pay him, you're going to have to go out and get an unproven guy anyway. So I don't understand it. And the thing is, last thing I'll say before I pass it on is it's not like Daniel Jones has a long track record of being an unsuccessful quarterback. He had one stop in New York, and that was it. And it ended bad. He had some flashes, but it just didn't end well. There's so many X factors that can go into that. It's not like everywhere he's been a complete failure and he's just been, terrible and all this stuff like that. This is his second stop. And he's proven that this may be the better fit for him for whatever reason. Maybe it's the scheme. Maybe it's the personnel. Maybe it's the building. Maybe it's the city. I think Daniel Jones fits a lot better in Indiana than he does in New York. You know what I mean? So it's just a lot of things that go into that. So long story short, listen, he's proven to be your guy throughout the first, 8-9 weeks, whatever. As long as he keeps this up, there's nothing more you should be looking for. Pay the guy. That's your quarterback. Ride out with him. If it doesn't work out, then when that contract is up, then we'll talk about it again. But this is your guy.
I like it. Great job, Doug. Great job. Violator, how you feel about this topic? Do you think they should pay him or they should go back to Anthony Richardson?
Listen, guys. We're talking football here, and what do they always say? It's a production-based business.
That's for sure.
So Daniel Jones is producing. And I think the Ursays will look at it like her father did. They don't just throw guys willy-nilly into the wind. He's learned his lesson. He learned his lesson by doing that. Now, they tried that new experiment with Anthony Richardson. I'm just going to write that off as maybe in the wrong system or just wasn't really ready for the NFL game. And now he stays injured, so he's going to be in question like, is he durable enough, even at his size?
Right.
But Daniel Jones is a truly seasoned veteran, and he looks comfortable in Indianapolis. So it's a marriage for both, made in heaven for both of them. So why would you mess that up? You know what I mean? Just to say, let's just change the tires because I don't like the way that one looks this week. No, you're looking for consistency. So you've got it with him. His line is protected, and he's got a badass running back. So play ball.
That's it. I like it. Young RG, what you got on this topic? Do you think they should pay him or should they wait it out?
Colts absolutely got to pay him. Don't make the same mistake that the Vikings did when a seasoned vet strolls into your locker room. You have zero expectations going into the season. And what do you know? With a grid system around him, solid O-line, great running game, great defense, you guys are at the top of the AFC. Who would have thunk if we give these quarterbacks, these first-round talent quarterbacks, talent around them, they succeed? Wow, it's such an concept. What a concept. It's crazy. And for Colts fans, I truly do like I know Colts fans are going to be and are extremely appreciative of Daniel Jones and what he is providing for them, because ever since Luck has retired, it has been a nightmare for Colts, and they've been on that QB carousel for the last 6-7 years, and they have not been able to get off of it. It's been a ride from hell. He has finally, like Violator was saying, has finally brought that stability to that position that they were severely lacking this entire time post Luck. And when that happens and it just all meshes perfectly together, the right combination of things happen for this kind of season to transpire, you absolutely extend him and you absolutely keep going at it. This is a weak division. You can absolutely run this table for the next 4 to 5 years. Jonathan Taylor's only 26 years old. Yeah. He's still got 4 at max 4 great years left.
Yeah, I agree. Why not? I agree. And again, with Anthony Richardson being your succession plan award, what your thoughts were going into the season, he's not making any money as well. Like JJ McCarthy in Minnesota, you got the money. I mean, they're not paying anybody but JT on that and the entire team. JT and Quentin Nelson are the highest paid people on their team outside of that. So you got the money. So again, don't make the mistake that Minnesota made in this sense.
Literally.
Don't make the same mistake twice. Learn from other people's mistakes. That is a very wise move to learn from other people's mistakes. But yeah, cool cat. Maybe you just need some maturation, buddy. Again, he don't get that 5th-year option picked up, and he starts to, get to that level where he's played enough football or seen enough football so he can figure things out. But we're not sure at this point with Daniel Jones playing the way he's playing, he's going to have a shot in Indy right now. He might have to go to another team to get looked at. But yeah, we'll see how things flow, man. But I think at this point, unless he completely falls on his face, which doesn't look like he's going to at this particular juncture, they have no choice but to dole out the dough. And an interesting thing about this too, they don't have to go top of the market either because he hadn't had any, quote unquote accolades to lean on to say I deserve top of the market money. So they could get a steal in a sense, give him more Sam Darnold deal rather than the Dak Prescott deal.
I'm glad you brought that up, Coach, because I want to say something.
Please.
If Tua, if Trevor Lawrence, if Kirk Cousins, I could go on naming these quarterbacks. Brock Purdy, that was the one I was trying to think of. If these guys can all get contracts based off team success,
right?
Daniel Jones should be no different because he's shown you that in that he is a main cog in that team. Tua, Trevor, all those other guys, I could either get the same amount of production or probably better production throwing other quarterbacks in there. With Daniel Jones in there, he is running that offense smoothly. They have had really no big, competitive games minus that Rams game, like you mentioned. And we all think the Rams are an NFC Super Bowl contender.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Got my vote at the beginning of the season, so I'm riding with it. For sure. Yeah. Great points. Great points on the round. So yeah. In Indianapolis, the Irsay family, if you're listening, man, yeah. In the words of Richard Pryor, pay the man.
Pay the man.
Pay the man. All right. Good stuff. Yeah, I like it, Kev. Yeah, to give him the Darnold type deal. That works. $100 million, 3 years. Let's see if it works, man. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Why not? And again, that's not top of the market, so you still got the ability to go out and get him more weapons. In a draft or free agency. So yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, good stuff. All right, so let's move on to our highly anticipated segment called "Do You Believe?" So this is a segment where I give the panel some off the cuff questions. They don't know what the questions are prior to. There's no prep involved in this situation, so this is a real time reaction that you get when I give them these questions. You get real time answers. Don't have a whole lot of time to jot down notes and do any research, so it is off the cuff. But there's some good questions here that I got this week. So for the panels, this all should be pretty good. And it's a little bit centered around quarterbacks as the theme of the podcast has been going on so far. So I'm gonna start with Dev this week. RG kind of gives me give me that look every time I start with him first. So I'm gonna start with Dev this week. But I do got one good one for you, RG. So you can wait for that one. That'll be a good one. That'll be a good one. But speaking of quarterbacks, we're gonna move over to NFC. Dub, do you believe that Ben Johnson can make Caleb into a franchise quarterback?
Yeah, I do. I do. I think part of that comes with maturity with Caleb. I think a lot of his early, and of course it's only been a year and a half, but a lot of his earlier games that didn't look too good was just him trying to do a little bit too much. And I think the more he settles in, he's definitely got the talent. I think he's definitely got the ability, and I think he definitely wants it. So those are some of the soft skills that you need. Talent and ability, that alone will get you some longevity in this league, and being the number one pick is going to get you some longevity in this league. So, yeah, I think he does. I think that will it be with Chicago? Possibly. I think that it definitely can be in Chicago. I think we'll see him there for quite some time. I still go on record as saying I don't know if we'll ever see a 4,000-yard passer in Chicago, because it's Chicago and it's the Windy City, and every team that they've ever had that's been good has been running the football and playing defense for a reason. Yeah. So I don't see why they want to be this air attack team, but nonetheless, I think that Caleb Williams does have the ability to succeed in this league, and I think Ben Johnson, if you remember him back in Detroit, the strength was his run game. And if you look at them, when they play well this year in Chicago, it's because Swift is playing well and they have a balanced attack. So it might not be being a 4,000-yard passer. Maybe it's in a different way, but I think that we can see Caleb Williams being a franchise quarterback in this league. It's possible.
I like it. Okay, good stuff. All right. All right. Bye later, good sir. I got an interesting one for you.
Bring it.
All right. So when we're talking about the Steelers who just dropped another ball game this past week, do you believe that the Steelers can hold a division lead down the stretch going into the back end of the season? Or will another team creep up in the division to take over and ultimately win that division from them?
I don't believe it, and here's why. Because I'm leaning more towards Cincinnati on the return of Joe Burrow, whenever that is.
Okay.
Because they're treading water right now.
Yeah.
And I think once they get a healthy Joe Burrow back, they're going to make that, that fourth inning surge, that fourth quarter surge.
Right.
I think they're going to be on fire, man, because they've got talent right there. And who's that? Flacco is their quote QB right now.
Yep.
Flacco's holding court. Even like say at 43 or 44, veteran leadership. That's what's holding the squad together. Pittsburgh, I've got questions about. Just watching them the other night, the parts of the game that I saw where Green Bay, when I first saw the game, Green Bay was getting kicked around.
Yeah.
And towards the end of the game, I'm like, what is this 10-point?
It was like 9 days out of the second half. The second half, the Packers came out.
I guess, yeah. I'm like, what the hell really went on? And then I just saw pictures of Aaron Rodgers with that despondent look, like,
right.
I can't believe this kid come in here and stomp my butt
right.
on my turf, But Green Bay is one to watch out for. I'm telling you, I'm keeping a close eye on them.
I think we all are. I think we all are. You're right about that. But
Jordan Love has matured.
Yes, he definitely has for sure. I think the Packers are definitely a team to watch. I think the Eagles and Rams should be looking over their shoulder like they're going to be a tough out, in that particular space. But talking about the Steelers as well, I agree with you. They should be looking over their shoulder, seeing the Ravens because Lamar's coming back this week. I think that Joe Burrow, if Flacco can make them 500 or better between now and the return of Burrow, I think they're in the hunt. So they ought to be wondering whether or not they can hold the levy. And had not break on them, to the point where they might lose the division title. And they still might make them a wild card team, but it depends on what comes out of the West as well. Because if you get 3 teams out of the West, it means only one division out of the 3 can get 2 other teams. Right. So so I think that they might be, on the outside looking in if they don't start winning some ball games. And what bothers me about this, and I love Mike Tomlin to death, that is my guy, but he just keeps doubling and tripling down on the same thing, and it's not working. I'm sorry, this is not a defensive league anymore. I hate to say it because that is my bag, but it's not a defensive league anymore. And all he keeps going out and went out and got another one today. It got Kyle Duggar from the Patriots. He keeps getting more and more defensive players to fit this, flailing defense. They get more and more players and play worse defense. I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. You're not investing in offense at all. You're not modernizing your offense at all. You went out and got an aging quarterback. You got one bona fide receiver. You don't throw to your tight ends. You don't use your running backs, like you should. It's I got a lot of question marks there. I think I'm more questioning Philly, the other Philadelphia team, or PA team than that I was questioning the Eagles a couple weeks ago. The question I have about the Eagles that I don't anymore. Now I got questions about this Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm just moving from one PA team to the next about who I got questions about for sure. That for sure. So we'll see, man. But I definitely think the Pittsburgh Steelers should be worried. I'll be concerned. For sure. All right, young RG. One of your favorite people in the world. One of your favorite people in the world we're gonna talk about. Do you believe, now mind you, they want to buy this week, so we didn't have any real-time film on this, but I had this question in the tuck for a couple of weeks now. Do you believe the Jaguars are losing faith in Trevor Lawrence?
Ooh, losing faith in Trevor Lawrence?
Mm-hmm. Not just a new regime, the new coaching staff, things of that nature. They're far removed from the people that draft them at this point. Even the GM is different. Remember the GM that drafted him?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna say yes. I feel like T-Law has. If we want to talk about first overall busts, besides that one playoff game that Brandon Staley just allowed him to come back into, he hasn't shown us anything. There's been no leading of the team, and even when they were great, he still had very pedestrian numbers, and they've given him talent. I mean, they gave him technically 2 back-to-back first-round wide receivers, and Brian Thomas Jr. and now Travis Hunter.
Yep.
You have a great running game now with Travis Etienne and
Scootin' Tootin'.
And Scootin' Tootin'. And Liam Cohen has completely transformed that run game. A lot of people were completely out on Etienne before the season started, and now he's running for over 5 yards a game. So that's been turned around. And you're still 4-3, and the Colts have now just
Yeah, you're hilarious, by the way. You're hilarious.
Oh, man.
And that's facts, Kev.
That is fact.
What did he say? I don't know. Did you guys see that video of him in the locker room following a win? And what is his name? Is it something Khan?
Oh, Liam Cohen. Liam Cohen. Oh,
no, Shad Khan. Yes.
Okay.
There's a video of him in the locker room after a win, and he's like trying to give a speech to like motivate his guy, like congratulating him on a huge win and like the season outlook and whatever. And his English is a little broken. I'm not gonna lie, man. He bombed that thing so hard. Wow. And I know these players, you have to cheer and you have to clap after, obviously.
Yeah. He's writing the checks.
That's big boss. So you gotta, hey, yeah, great joke. So but I guarantee you afterwards those players went back in the locker room like, this clown. I strongly urge you guys to go find that video.
I got to down. You didn't set me up for it now. I got to go down. I got to see it now.
It's brutal. It's a very cringe-worthy watch, as the kids say.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. But yeah, you do believe that they're losing faith in him in Jacksonville.
Yeah, 100%. He has not lived up at all to being the number 1 overall pick. And I think, like you mentioned, it being a different regime, different head coach, that first year they're able to get up from under that contract. I fully expect them to.
Okay, well, there you go. You just answered my next question. Good job.
And speaking on that, guys, I heard from a diehard Jaguars fan today, matter of fact, that the fan base has already lost confidence in him.
Oh, there you go. There you go. There you go. Real time inside information. There we go. I love it. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely believe, because again, what made me really bring up this question, because we saw him beat the Chiefs, in miraculous fashion on Monday. And we blame Chris Jones for that, but I
did he beat the Chiefs or did the Jags beat the Chiefs?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. But they did win, and they give the quarterback all the credit, right, when he get these victories, right? So I will say that. And then you lay 2 eggs back to back after that. Yeah. That's what makes me question it. So I'm like, is he really the guy? Is the question with his up and down play. So yeah, that was it for me. That was why I asked that.
I'll finish this very quickly.
Okay.
When you bring in a new head coach and a completely new regime, and essentially everything about the team improves, except the quarterback.
Yeah.
I think that's a little telling.
Right. But both take the quarterback swap in Miami and Jacksonville.
I like that, Kim. Yeah.
Oh,
you imagine school in Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence in Miami? Wow.
Hey, tell me why that's not an actual terrible idea.
New start.
Hey, the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins would take that in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah, they would.
Absolutely.
Who's in a worse situation if they're willing to do that? That's funny. That's funny. Okay, good stuff. All right. You got anything for me, RG, before we move on? I know you sometimes give me a
you kind of caught me off guard with the Jags one, but I got a little something for you. We were talking about quarterbacks, and it's still basically a little bit of the quarterbacks asking me a Trevor Lawrence question, but I got something regarding one of our preseason kind of favorites going into this year.
Okay.
Patriots atop the AFC West. Patriots atop the AFC East. Dethroning the Bills for the time being. Mm-hmm. Bills coming off a bye week, stomping the Panthers, going up to 5-2.
Yep.
New England, a bit of a trap game potential matchup against the Browns. Similarly, handled business, even though Myles Garrett, and man, we could have a whole show on that man. He is a monster.
Yeah.
But that's for a different day. Bottom line is New England does come out of Cleveland with a pretty convincing win. So my question to you is this. Funny enough, both the Patriots and the Bills have allowed the same amount of points this year. Their defenses have. And the Patriots have just outscored the Bills by only 6. But remember, Bills have had a bye week.
Right.
Patriots have not. So, with Drake May playing as well as he does, which quarterback would you take right now in that division? It's really only between 2.
Right.
To have the best season when it's all said and done. Record-wise, stats-wise, all of it.
That's a good one. Ooh. Yeah, well, I would say that I would have a more of a trepidatious take on it if I didn't see Josh Allen's and them go 40-9 this past Sunday. Because I was watching their offense for a little bit for that matchup, right? But I can't vote against the MVP at this particular point. I've really been on the Josh Allen train for too long to get off right this moment. So I love Drake May what he's doing, and I do believe that they're going to give the Bills a headache. And not only now, but for the future. I think Vrabel, listen, if Sean McDermott isn't careful, Mike Vrabel's going to get him fired.
Yeah, possible.
Mike Vrabel's going to get him fired because he's going to be a thorn in his side for the foreseeable future. And if he can't get out of the Patriots' way and focus on the AFC as a whole to get to the Super Bowl, he's going to be looking for another job. And Mike Vrabel is good to go in New England. He's got the reins, and trust me, Kraft is not concerned about letting him go at all. He's doing a bang-up job there. So I would argue that, in the short term, for sure, the Bills have the better quarterback. But Drake May is ascending. And that whole conversation we had about who's going to be the best quarterback in that draft class, Drake May is not going away.
Nope.
It's not going away just yet. With Jaden hurt, Caleb struggling, JJ McCarthy looking like, we just talked about a whole segment about that. That's the conversation. But nonetheless, I think for right now, in the near term, I got to ride with Josh Allen as the quarterback to have the better season. But I do believe that they're going to be neck and neck, and it's going to come down to maybe the last game of the season for this division. They really might just do that.
I'm going to throw this out there, not to take away from your take or anything. I love the take, and there really is no wrong answer at this point in the season. That's why I thought it was such a great question just to see what you were thinking. But throwing this out there, Drake May is not only is he top 5 in passing yards right now, he leads the league in completion percentage. And it's not a dink and dunk offense.
That's saying a lot.
They are chucking that ball deep.
Yeah. They had an argument the other day about who throws the bettest deep ball, and Drake May was in that conversation.
Hey, it's him, Mahomes, Allen, Herbert. I mean, those are the 4 dudes in this league who got, and Stafford. Stafford's a little bit more of a legacy pick,
right?
But that's like those are like the 5 guys that you could really just put into a debate, and I'm sure we'd all sit back and just watch them chuck footballs all day, just be in awe of what they could do. I think it's Drake May has been incredibly impressive, man. I think I can't believe the Patriots only had to wait like 6 years to get another franchise QB.
Right. They went through the Mac Jones years. That was their suffrage. Their suffrage was the Mac Jones years, and then now they're back in business. So yeah,
there are still some teams suffering. I look to my dear friend down below me here.
I'm just going to clean the Browns. I'm going to bring the Raiders up. I'm going to clean the Browns. The Cleveland Browns have been struggling quarterback since I've been alive. Let's just put it.
That's fair.
Listen, we're almost hoping that Pickett can start, just to not see as many interceptions. But I think they've sit Geno down during this bye week period and really had a heart-to-heart with him because Coach Carroll has just been loyal to him.
That he is.
But like I said on this show previously, I'm hearing from other sources what I was thinking, just as a fan watching, he's shell-shocked.
Yeah. I mean, that O-line has a lot to do with it. And we all said in unison that he's at his best when he has a good run game. And that hasn't been the case yet. So
stubborn. That's a stubborn part that Robert mentioned. Yes, coaches being stubborn.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, good stuff. All right. So let's move forward down this line and talk about our segment of cover forecast. Now we got 2 segments here. We're gonna do games of the week, and we got another segment that we're gonna get to because it is mid-season. So we're gonna get the panel's take on who we feel like is their mid-season MVP. We kind of alluded to a little bit earlier, talking about some highly touted talent, when it comes down to who's been playing well this season so far. But let's go around the room and tell me who your front runners are for MVP at this particular moment at the midseason mark, since we are going into week 9. What's Mike Dub? Who is your guy? Who and why?
I'm gonna shake things up a little. Well, it's not really a shake up, but I think the guy that I'm gonna pick is someone that we normally don't see it. We hardly ever see it. I don't know if we've ever seen it, and that's of course somebody on the defensive side of the ball. I'm gonna go with Myles Garrett.
I love this.
Yeah.
Listen. Let's talk about most valuable players. Valuable. This guy is single-handedly just wreaking havoc, and what I love about it is it's almost like doing it out of anger because he knows that he's wasting his career there. Yeah. So it's like you have different type of players. You have different type of players where they feel like I'm wasting my career here, get me out of here. They sulk and they just sink and become a product of their environment. And then you have other guys that use that as like fuel, and it's like, get me out of here. You see them slam his helmet, and it's just like, if y'all don't get me out of here, you're going to get somebody's quarterback hurt. You know what I mean? So,
wow, we all good.
You know what I mean.
Good. So get me out of here. That's a good one. I like it.
That's the body man games.
Yeah. So, I'm going to say, man, it's just, I don't know. We see good defensive players happen all the time, and I know they have a defensive player of the year award, but I think it's just time and I think it's good to kind of mix it up a little bit, add some parity to the league. It's going to get people talking. The NFL, they got a defensive player as an MVP. Who is this guy? Nobody doesn't know who he is, but I mean, I think that's good for the league. I think it's good for the Browns. It's good for Myles Garrett. It's good for everything. I would like to see it, so I'm going to say Myles Garrett.
I love it. Hot take, man. Hot take. I don't think it's ever going to happen because the league just
no.
But it's a great take. He will win defensive MVP if he keeps on his tear. But it's between him and Michael Parsons, the front runners for me. But yeah, I think they'll be like, well, you got your own award on the defensive side, so we'll leave it to the offensive guys. But that's a good one. If let's say hypothetically he breaks the NFL sack record, single season sack record this year, and despite it being 17 games, if he just blows the record out the door, you gotta have the conversation. You gotta have a conversation for sure. So
yeah, you have to. I don't know why. I mean, of course, we know quarterbacks and wide receivers, they're the money makers and all that stuff like that. I just don't know why the NFL machine doesn't get behind certain marketable defensive players too. Like I think Myles Garrett is a marketable guy. You see what Dexter Lawrence is doing. He's got a viral dance going everywhere. I would just like to see the NFL machine get behind different positions. I think that could push the league forward a little bit. It could make it a little bit more marketable. Myles Garrett is a guy. He should have commercials everywhere. You know what I mean? I should see him everywhere. But
I think the last person that did like that was Von Miller. They kind of got behind Von Miller in his prime. Yeah, then he was on all kind of commercials and doing all kind of promos and things like that. So I think he's might have been the last guy from a defensive side of the ball that they really got behind and pushed. So yeah, I like that. That's a good take. Good stuff. All right, Violator, who you got on your side? Who you think is the MVP of the league right now?
Man, that's we spoke of this gentleman earlier. I'm gonna have to say Daniel Jones with what he's doing with the Colts.
Oh, okay. I like it. Okay. Do you know what's weird about Daniel Jones? And he's not in the top 6 in the odds for Vegas right now for MVP. Can you believe that?
I bet you I know one Colt player who's above him.
Yeah. yes. And you will be right. But he's not in the conversation. I looked that up yesterday and I was like, wow, he's not in the top 6. That's crazy to me. 7-1, the numbers he has, the efficiency he's playing at. Maybe he's overshadowed by JT, but I think that he should be in the conversation, especially when it's a quarterback award. Typically, we can say the part out loud.
It could be like what Coach Dub just said, motivation.
Yeah.
Or look at it. Let them sleep on me. Let them sleep on me.
Right.
And I'll just show them. Kind of like what Jaden Hurts is doing with Philly. All that backlash and hoopla that he was getting, he keeps it classy, but on the field, he's an assassin.
Agreed. Good stuff. All right, young RG, who you got on your side?
To the surprise of nobody, it's Jonathan Taylor, man. And I get Daniel Jones is playing fantastic. I also think something with him is he personally doesn't have, I feel like, any animosity towards this award. He was never expected, never highly looked at. So this season is all just his, I guess, his right back, to speak in Gino's words, is the fact that the team is 7-1 and he is as efficient as he's been. That's always been, that's always been his biggest gripe is we just need consistent, efficient play from you and the team can do the rest. And they're finally getting that with him in Indianapolis. So all the props to him. I don't want to take anything away from him whatsoever. He is playing fantastic and they deserve all the credit. But Jonathan Taylor,
right?
My God, man, we have not seen this kind of production from a running back since LT's MVP season.
Agreed.
And I get AP won MVP with a 2,000-yard season coming off that ACL, and again, not to take anything away from him, another dynamic, just legendary back. But the thing that made LT so terrifying is he could beat you in the run game, he could beat you in the passing game, and he could throw a ball occasionally for a touchdown or two. Now I'm not saying JT's doing all that. Yeah, so I'm not saying JT's doing all that, but you get my point. JT, I mean, just look at the numbers, man. He's 100 yards clear of the next guy in terms of rushing yards. He's got 850. James Cook has 753. That's who's next. They're neck and neck in terms of average yards per run. JT's at 5.9. Cook is at 6.0. JT has 12 touchdowns just rushing on the season. The next closest is Josh Jacobs with 9, and he is, let's look, all the way down at 17th in terms of rushing yards. So he's more of that goal line back kind of now at this point in his career, in the back end of his prime.
Right.
So this is just all to say JT is the reason Daniel Jones's job is so easy. And that's why I feel like he's the MVP. Again, not to take anything away from Jones, but I just think when you have a running back who is a basically guaranteed 100 yards rushing every week, to know that going in, like, oh, my guy's going to get me 100, like the running threat is going to be there regardless. It just opens up so much more. It opens up the play action. It opens up these passing lanes. They have to draw more into the box to accommodate for that. Guys, he has 4 games this year with 3 touchdowns. I mean,
that's just say enough. That's just say enough right there.
Come on.
Yeah, that's just say enough right there. I definitely agree with that. The only problem I have is the narrative, and this is what pisses me off about voters. They fall into the narrative, and they always look at it from a quarterback-led and quarterback-driven league, and they always look at it from that perspective. And, I'm over it now because I fought tooth and nail and argued about the whole Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen conversation last year with the MVP. But it's not even a stat award now. I mean, it's literally about who they favor in that moment. Who's that favor in that moment? Because, clearly Lamar Jackson had the best statistical season he's ever had, and he didn't win MVP over Josh Allen, and he even beat him head-to-head. Again, I didn't understand that at all. So the voters in that space will likely still lean quarterback if it's close. But if JT breaks the rushing record, the touchdown record, like any records he breaks from a rushing perspective, you have to give him the award, in my opinion. But we'll see if they do it, is the question. And that will add more scrutiny and more, I guess you can say conspiracy around the voting aspects of it if they don't win the award. But that's where we're at in that particular space too. So, but I will say this: there's like kind of a hot take. If we're not careful here, in all honesty, Patrick Mahomes could creep up in this conversation too.
I knew you were going to say that.
I didn't want to say him, but I'm thinking about him the whole time.
I mean, just to be honest, to be a true analyst, in this space, and be an objective analyst. If he plays on the trajectory he's been playing for the last 4 to 5 weeks throughout the rest of the season, he could be in that conversation too. And he is a quarterback. So again, if his numbers are comparable, And the records are comparable to what the Colts look like. And if they beat the Colts head to head, in that matchup in a couple of weeks, you could argue that Mahomes might be the front runner in that conversation too. So we'll see how things go by the time week 16, 17 hits, but he could be in that conversation as well. He started slow, but he's definitely picking up a lot of steam if you're not careful. So go ahead, Rob.
And he looks real driven right now.
He does.
Yeah.
You just see it in his eyes, man. He's
For
got
sure.
something.
I didn't want to bring up, but obviously since we're going to bring up QBs, Mahomes and Herbert are having very, very similar seasons right now.
Yeah.
Herbert has turned the ball over a bit more. I will admit that. I'm not trying to, not analyze certain stats, but he has thrown a couple more, interceptions, but he's also thrown for more yards. He has a better completion percentage. So I'm not saying that Herbert, and he obviously had a big steam, after those first 3 weeks of the season. He was probably a lot of people's MVP front runner. But I think, now that he's got Alt back, and this defense, obviously a bit of an easy stretch right now, but if this defense can get back to form, I would not be shocked. Herbert, he can definitely put up the numbers, and now that he's finally potentially getting the wins, that's definitely a conversation that could potentially be had.
That's another matchup too, because if Herbert numbers continue to rise and he keeps in the conversation as well, he has to beat Mahomes again head to head.
Right.
Now it's a full compliment. You got your guys back. I got my guys back. We're playing an Arrowhead. Can you beat me on my own turf? That would be a delineation for that particular matchup as well. So we have to look out for that. But if that happens, then yeah, I think he's in that conversation for sure. Definitely. Okay. All right. Any final words on this topic before we move on to games of the week?
I think I'm all good.
All right. Okay.
Facts, Kev. Facts.
Yes, indeed. Indeed.
You're right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a stud to me, man. He just like an unfortunate injury, but
I know we didn't need him back on the field, man. He is definitely all that. He was. I again, and I said this before we even drafted him. He was the best back in the league to me.
I had him rated above Genty myself.
I did. I had him in the best rookie out of that draft class. He was the best one. So we definitely got a steal in that space. We just need to get back on the field.
Shout out Vidal though, man. That man's been putting in work. Not even just running the ball, but blocks, pass pro. I mean, this dude's been doing it all. He better get a roster spot come next season.
How about need to put me on the payroll? Because everything I've said up to this point that has come true. I said he shouldn't have cut Vidal in the beginning. I don't know why Hassan Haskins was on the roster. I said he should have kept either Raheem Sanders or Vidal. Vidal was already under contract because you drafted him, last year. So he's a cheap, low round draft pick. So he's costing you nothing. Keep him on the roster and keep Najee, him, and Omarion, and that's your three backs. And then now, look, we're back in the same conversation with Vidal being back on the roster. So, again, maybe he listens to me on the low. He just don't tell me, but he can throw me a little stipend here and there, John, and we'll be good to go. Jim, give
you some of that CO money. You know what I mean, Coach?
Right, yeah, a little petty cash. Don't be a little petty cash
on the side, yeah.
Don't be little petty cash, Jim. We'll be good. But yes, I definitely agree with you. He needs Hampton back for sure. All right, so let's get into games of the week real quick. Let's talk about these matchups here. Some good ones here this week. Some big time matchups, man. Definitely some ones that are going to mean a lot for the standing perspective. Because we talk about the Colts early on. We talk about the Steelers being, quote unquote, floundering in the sense they need to get back on track. Not a good week to do it with the Colts coming in, but I look at this line. All road teams are favored in these matchups. Have y'all noticed that? All the road teams are favored. That's why I love these matchups.
That's crazy, actually.
It is. So starting over the Colts and the Steelers, the Colts are favored by 2.5. So a field goal game for the Colts. Who you got, young RG? Who you got in that matchup?
Oh, Colts, easy. Give me that. That's going to be an easy -2.5 as well. You're telling me that the Colts could only win by a field goal, and they're going to win by much more than a field goal. But you can tell me that by all accounts, they could win this game by just a field goal, and I'm still in the clear. Easy. Yeah. Give me that -2.5. Colts smash this line. It's going to be a no sweat.
I like it. Violet, who you got in this matchup?
I got the Colts also, man. Just ground and pound and keep Aaron Rodgers watching.
Yeah.
Colts, and I think they're going to cover that and more.
Oh, I like it. I agree with you there. Yeah, for sure. Dub, who you got? You want Colts as well?
Yeah, same. No difference. I think the Colts, and I got the Colts to cover.
I like it. And the way them Steelers giving up yards on the ground with that D line, linebacker core, I don't understand it. But they've been giving up a lot of yards, and going against that O line with the Colts is going to be nasty.
My fantasy team is salivating at the thought.
Yes, you're right. And I do play you this week, don't I?
No, you don't. Thankfully,
I play DC. Thankfully, I don't. Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. We're good. We're good. But yes, I wish I would definitely take the Colts in the points. I mean, listen, I might even put a parlay in this week on that one. That's got to be. That's got to be it. I like that line way too much. I might want to grab it before it changes because they're hearing this.
Oh, that line's just gonna keep going up and up and up.
I agree. Okay. All right. So the Broncos are going to Houston to face the Texans, and the Texans got a really feisty defense and actually played pretty good offense this week. And people are still questioning whether or not the Broncos are legit offensively. So with that going against that tough defense, two tough defenses, although the Broncos will not have Patrick Surtain this week. He's out for a while. I think he's going to be on IR for a few weeks with a pec injury. So how do you have this game shaking out with the Broncos only a 1.5 favorite against the Texans in Houston? We got young RG.
I'm taking the Texans in this one. Now, I know I've been incredibly down on the Texans, and I promise this is not just a hater pick, but truly, this Texans defense is elite. That is bar none. They are one of the top defenses in this game. And frankly, I haven't seen enough from the Broncos offense to give me any hope to think that they're going to turn it on against this elite unit.
Right. I like it.
I watched a Broncos team absolutely die against the Jets and almost just have the Jets be like, here, we it's a win. We don't know what we're doing here. You need to win this game. This is foreign territory to us to come away with that win. So I think this is going to be one of those games where we look back at the final score and we're like, yeah, I didn't miss anything not watching that game. This will be like a 10-7, 12-9 field goal fest. Yeah, right. I take the Texans and take the points, I guess, because I think they're going to win outright.
Well, yeah, the Texans are actually the underdog. So if you take the Texans, all you got to do is not cover. Yeah, so I like that. Okay. All right, Violator, who you got in this matchup? Broncos or Texans?
I'm going Texans with this one only because they're at home. And like what Rob said about Broncos offense, now they blew out Dallas. I don't know what the hell that was all about, but
Jekyll and Hyde, man, Jekyll and Hyde.
Yes, but I think the Texans defense is going to be the one to set the tone for this game.
I like it. They're definitely out there balling in. And let's know a little bit nugget. I told y'all about Jalen Petrie 3 years ago. When he first got to the Texans, I told you he's going to be an impact player, and all he's doing is making Pro Bowls. So yeah, look out for Jalen Petrie in that defense. Love what they're doing on that side of the ball. Very few, I guess you can say, pleasures I get in seeing good defenses play still. It's a dying breed in this league where the defenses play well. Yeah. So when those times happen, I like to see it. So yeah, I'm with the Texans in there. All right, Coach Mike, what you got in this matchup? Broncos or Texans?
Definitely going to be a defensive game. I'm curious to see how the Broncos will be able to survive without Surtain, but I'm going to go with the Broncos with a slight win over them just because I think last week was fool's gold with the Texans. Their offensive line is still pretty bad. And going against the Broncos pass rush, I think they can make CJ feel a little bit uncomfortable, or a lot uncomfortable, I should say. Yeah. I think that might be the difference. So I'm going to go with the Broncos in a close one, though. Close defensive battle.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, this is a very, I guess you say that maybe the delineation is Patrick Surtain not being on the field because, Nico Collins should be back this week. So that's going to be a leg up for them in getting him free and not have to worry about Surtain covering him. So that's going to be a leg up for the Texans. And the Iowa State boys seem to be, finding their stride. They got 3 Ohio State wide receivers on their team. Can you believe that? Wow. Jalen Noel, Xavier Hutchinson, and Jaden Higginson, all Ohio State Cyclones. Iowa State Cyclones. That's crazy. Wow. So they got the Iowa State trio seeming to finally, get some synergy and cohesion with CJ Stroud. But the Texans need to lean on the short passing game in this one because I tell you, if you allow Benito and them boys to sit back and tee off on CJ Stroud, it's gonna be a long day. So I think that's the determining factor. Who has a better pass rush in this game is going to determine this one for me. Both of them are mobile, but Bo Nix likes to run more. So I hate to say it, but I might have to pick the Broncos with this one just in a slight victory.
Is Nico back this week?
Yes.
Ooh, and was Surtain out?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's what kind of, leans, I'm like, I'm not sure, but I think that, if it might be a running quarterback game. It doesn't matter who gets sacked less is going to win the game. I think that might be Bo Nix.
Right. A defensive battle, right?
Yeah. Who gets sacked less?
That's the point spread right there.
Yeah. I think who gets sacked less. So I'm a ride with the Broncos in a slight victory, but it could go either way. Again, 1.5 is the reason why it's a pick'em game for sure. All right, so we got Chiefs at Bills. I guess you can say the yearly matchup they have at this point. They face each other each year, at least once or twice. Actually, ironically, the Bills have owned the Chiefs in the regular season, not so much in the playoffs, but for the regular season for sure, especially in Buffalo, the Chiefs have particularly owned this matchup. So, with the Chiefs a road favorite, 1.5, ironically, who do you got in this matchup, Mike Dub? Who do you got in this matchup, Chiefs and Bills?
I got the Bills winning the regular season like they normally do.
Okay.
We'll talk again in the playoffs, but the Bills are at home. This is a tough one because the Chiefs are rolling right now, but I like how the Bills started to put things together coming off that bye week last week. And they're at home, so I give them the edge as well. The Chiefs started out a little rusty against us. Obviously they were able to do Chiefs things and, come towards the end, but I'm going to take the Bills. I think this will I think it will be a shootout. But I like Josh Allen and I like really James Cook to really have a big game as well.
I like it. Okay. All right, Violet, who you got, Chiefs or Bills?
I'm going to take the Bills and the Mafia at home to edge out the Chiefs by a field goal.
Okay. There you go. Who you got, young RG? Chiefs or Bills?
Yeah, I'm rolling with the crew. I'm going to go with Bills. I think obviously take the points plus 1.5 if I'm going Bills. Just pointing out to what Mike said, Bills own the Chiefs in the regular season. Again, regular season, not when it matters. So this is still a big game regardless because the Chiefs got off to such a poor start. They will definitely be playing with a lot more urgency than I'm sure they have in past matchups versus the Bills. A lot of the times when they faced off against the Bills, they were already either firmly or had already locked up the division. So you kind of, take the edge off a little bit, not really trying to get hurt against these upper tier teams, especially they have that psychological edge over them, just knowing this game going to be a tie. Man, Kevin, this game ends in a tie. I don't even know how I would think or what to think, but yeah, I think this is gonna be Bills. Another probably offensive shootout. I'd say this is probably gonna be like a 38-35.
Yeah, and then most of those matches have been. Yeah, there you go. Yep, there you go, Violet. Yeah, it could be one of those things where nobody's playing defense because I'll argue the Chiefs played pretty solid defense, but the Bills haven't been playing defense at all this year.
At all.
That's something having a defensive minded head coach. So. Yeah, in that particular perspective, and a little bit what I just told Kev about reverse psychology, because the Chargers could use some breathing room. I'm going reverse psychology, and I'm picking the Chiefs. Hoping that they lose to the Bills.
I love it, Coach. Somebody got to do it.
I'm picking the Chiefs to win against the Bills, and they're riding high. And I'm a little bit from my fantasy perspective because I got my homes in 2 leagues. I need the Chiefs to keep winning. So yeah, I'm gonna roll with the Chiefs in this one to get the upset in Buffalo for sure. All right, so we got the Seahawks versus the Commanders. Now, I'm not sure this line is going to change because Jaden Daniels is trending towards playing, but the Seahawks travel to Washington to face the Commanders in a highly tight matchup. So, Coach Mike Dub, first and foremost, what say you about your Commanders? Do y'all pull out a victory or at least cover the spread in this particular matchup? Let's assume Jaden plays. Let's speak from his perspective of Jaden plays.
Assuming Jaden plays, he doesn't play defense. So
okay.
This is, and this is not I'm a realistic fan. I've been big on the Seahawks all along, just being objective, taking the fan hat off. I love what the Seahawks are doing. I love what Jackson Smith and Jigba is doing. Another guy that may be in the conversation for Offensive Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and that's where we struggle is in the pass defense and defending that. So I think that it's not necessarily a great matchup for us. So I will take the Seahawks. If I were a betting man. But hopefully we can make it a game. The thing is, when you have, a guy like Jaden Daniels playing and we have Terry, who's, finally going to be there, hopefully they can get some type of connection going. We haven't played a lot of games at full strength and we're still not at full strength, but it would be nice to at least get Debo, Terry, and Jaden all on the same page. Hopefully this will be the week.
Like it. Okay. All right, Violet, who you got in this matchup?
I got the Commanders bouncing back, man, and taking names in this Seahawks game.
Yeah, coming off that loss against the KC on Monday night. Yeah, they should be playing pissed off. So it's definitely a motivating factor. Yeah, motivating factor to come out and play intense football and get the victory if they can do it for sure at home, especially. Yeah, I like that. All right, young RG, what you got in this matchup? Seahawks or Commanders?
Yeah, sorry, Coach. I'm gonna go with the Seahawks in this one. But just too many of your points that you made back when I did the video on our matchup between the Chargers and the Commanders. One of the things that I said in that video was, if there's a weakness on this defense, it's that secondary. And Herbert I was fully confident in his ability to throw on them. In his O-line's ability to block for him is a completely different subject.
Right.
But I do think that the Seahawks will be able to block for Sam Darnold enough to where that he'll be able to will this team to a victory. I'm a little scared about the points. Again, depends on if Jaden plays or not. But this could also could turn into a battle of the ground game very quickly. If that pressure, because the Commanders can dial up some pressure, and they can get to the quarterback, that front four, although with Dorrance Armstrong season-ending IR, that took a big hit for sure. But if they're able to generate pressure, get 4 against Darnold, and force them to run the ball, we already know the Commanders can run the ball extremely well. That's what they do best, and that's kind of the game that they're going to want to have to force. If Seattle gets out to an early lead in like the first or second quarter, this one might be a long day for Commanders.
Okay. Well, I'm around with the Commanders from a points perspective because I think they'll keep it close. I think it might be, like Cool Kev said, it might be a field goal game, which will cover the line for the Commanders not to cover the 3.5. But yeah, I think it's really dependent on a few things for me for the Commanders to actually win the game. Tunsil, he's questionable. He went out with an injury on Monday night. We don't know right now if he's going to play. Jaden is questionable as well. We need him to play. I would say this: you would need a full complement of guys. You need Debo and Terry on the outside. You need Tunsil, the left tackle. You need Jay, their quarterback. If they have all those things going for themselves, I think they got a good shot of beating the Seahawks. If they don't, I think it's going to go to the Seahawks in a big way. But it just depends on who plays and who starts. But in a perfect world, if all those things are in place for me, I'm going to take Commanders not to cover the spread and they at least avoid the 3.5 hit and not lose by more than 3, in my opinion. So I'm going to take the Commanders to not cover for that space. So yeah, we'll see how things go, but should be a good matchup one way or the other. I like what both teams are doing, and it's a much needed conference game win for either team. So it should be competitive. It should be competitive for sure. All right, as we wrap up the show, we get to our fourth and final hot take segment of the week. We'd like to go around the room real quick to see if anybody has any hot takes, anything that they want to broach for the week or the season going forward that they have brewing in their pot. So has anybody got any hot takes going throughout the room? Because I got a really good one that I want to reveal, but assuming nobody steals my thunder. So I'll go last. But does anybody got any hot takes that they want to break for the week and or the season going forward after we've seen 8 weeks of football?
I don't know. I think I might save I might go one more week. I have something as far as the trajectory of the Commanders. You know what I mean? I'll save it, and I'll also save it for kind of my videos. But I might drop it next week. For this week, I think I'm pretty good on controversial hot takes. I don't think I have anything that's going to burn the league down to anything. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
Well, my hot take is, with the addition of Tyler Lockett, is this going to help Geno pull out of his, I'm just going to say his slump, but that shell shock is hard to shake. But with that addition of Tyler Lockett now and some familiarity and chemistry, is that going to help him open up his game?
Okay. I like it.
That's what I'm watching.
Okay. Good stuff. All right. Yeah, I definitely think that'll help the receiving core. And will they deal Jacoby Myers at the deadline is another question. So they might be bringing Tyler Lockett in, to kind of fill that void because he's going to be gone. Yep. And all I'll say, just keep throwing the ball to Trey Tucker because I got him in fantasy. Just keep throwing the ball to him.
Okay, got you. Yeah.
And
they don't use him enough. In my estimate,
I agree.
They don't use him enough.
I agree. Keep using them. Keep using him.
They need to start using Bowers once he gets back, because I took him in so many leagues early, and he has been killing me.
Yeah, a lot of people are regretting that pick at the moment, with him being hurt, for sure.
Yep.
For sure. All right, young Arch, you got anything hot that's brewing in your pot before we get up out of here?
I'm similar to Mike. I might have to wait a week. My take is still marinating a bit. It's not quite ready for the grill. So let me get back to you next week.
It's good to marinate your food now. It comes out
absolutely. The longer you do it, the better.
Low and slow.
That's it. Sometimes you gotta slow cook it. Slow cook it like a brisket. I like it. Okay.
I love Cool Kevs right here. Trap game Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. That's an interesting one. I don't know.
I got no faith in that. My bad, Kev.
Yeah, I don't. I don't think Indies, because Indies is one of those teams nobody believes in them. So they're not playing with the idea that we're hot shit. I'm just gonna say it. They're not playing with that mantra. They're playing with gritty. Everybody doubts us. Everybody thinks we're an underdog. Yeah. Everybody thinks Daniel Jones is trash. They're playing with that gritty. Nobody believes.
Zero expectations.
Me against the world mentality, and I don't think they're going to take anything for granted. So they're not going to trip off Pittsburgh at all, in my opinion.
I think that's what makes Indianapolis so scary this year. This year in particular is that because they're so, no expectations. Nobody thought they were going to do this. They're playing with house money at this point.
Absolutely.
That's terrifying when you got a talented, uber talented team like them.
Right.
Kev, I don't think we'll get 2 seconds for Myers. I'll say a second and a third, maybe.
Oh, heck. You might not get more than a fourth for Myers.
Yeah.
We at the trade deadline, kind of, I haven't seen a whole lot of high picks go at the trade deadline, so that'll be a first. That'll be a first for sure. So we'll see. And the Pool's a really needy wide receiver team that's gonna, be in the buyer's market for that. So that's a good one. That's a good one. All right, for my hot take is this, and I'm going back to Minnesota.
Oh, here we go. Okay. I like it.
The Minnesota Vikings will be picking high, top 10 in the draft this year, and be looking for another quarterback in 2026.
What?
Ooh.
That's hot. That's hot right there.
Yeah.
But where's the air horn, Coach? You got the air horn?
Sure, why not? Where it is?
That's worthy.
Yes, indeed. The Minnesota Vikings will be looking for a quarterback in 2026. That is my hot take of the season so far.
So, follow up real quick to that. Is McCarthy going to stay on the roster when this new quarterback is drafted? Or are they...
It's a flat-out competition, and who loses the competition will likely be on the trade block.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
Man, in that fictitious universe, future that hasn't happened yet, we'll say that sounds a lot better. Future that has yet to occur.
Determined, future that has to be determined.
I think they'd be better off just trading McCarthy in that draft, because once you draft another quarterback with McCarthy still on your roster. You're never going to be able to get anything for him. Everybody across the league will be like, you have to drop one of them or trade eventually.
That's a good one. So, they could get in the business of trading him before the draft and getting some draft capital back for him for a quarterback needy team. Hell, trade him to Miami.
Or like Robert said, the worst case scenario, just move him during the draft.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of teams that still need QBs, young.
Yeah.
So,
my mind is like going right now that you mentioned this. I'm already thinking of like a bunch of things. If the Bengals continue to have an awful season, even when Burrow, like if they're 4 or 5 games under 500 when Burrow comes back, I guarantee you he's not going to rush back into the lineup. I'll say that much. He probably will try to finagle this injury out until the end of the year. So they would be. that's a scorching take, Kev.
Oh man, I ain't touching that. That's ooh-wee.
That's that smoking helmet that you're looking at on the screen right there.
But what I'm saying is, so if the Bengals are in a position where they're picking top 5, or maybe not the Bengals, but if there's another team where they're picking top 5 and they already have their quarterback in place, the Bengals, they already have that franchise quarterback in place. That might be a situation where you trade. Maybe you do kind of like a 3-way trade where you send McCarthy somewhere, they send draft picks to the Bengals or whoever, and you send a draft pick or something to them with that and use that to draft your quarterback.
You put your thinking cap on now, buddy. That's a lot of moving parts.
It's a lot of moving parts, but it's tough when you got 2 quarterbacks. This is the Troy Aikman situation. You got 2 quarterbacks drafted early.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. But I do believe that if the JJ rolls out there and looks like, flaming hot garbage rolling down the street, I do believe that they're going to be in the market, especially with a high draft pick, in the market for a new quarterback. Because listen, Justin Jefferson is a cool cat and all that good stuff. He making his money, but guess what? He's not going to keep sitting idly by with y'all fumbling with his quarterback situation, especially after having Sam Darnold all last year. Having that nice season he had with Sam Darnold last year, and you keep fumbling with this quarterback situation, he's not going to be so happy. At some point. At some point, you're not going to be so happy. So, you need to get it right and get it right now if you can. So, whoever is the next best thing coming out of college, they might be in the market to draft him. And let Kevin O'Connor work with that guy and just say, we got it wrong with JJ, and we just going to move on. That's what really good teams do. When you realize that you screwed up a draft pick, no matter how way he was drafted at, you just move off of it and cut your losses and keep pushing the boat down the river. Then that's how you win. And if that's how you win. But if you harp on it, try to make it work, try to keep shoving around cylinder you keep trying to do that, then that's when you screw up. Yeah. That's when you screw up. So I definitely believe that they need to go ahead and just cut bait if he's not the guy and just get back into the quarterback business right here and right now. So we'll see.
And see, with this quarterback class, that's going to be a premium, right? What Robert said. It's going to be some phone calls made.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of moving and shaking in the top 10, but that's best believe, especially, again, to your point, his point of teams already having their quarterback in place and they're not questioning whether or not he's the guy. If they're sure and they're dug in their heels, they're the guy, then, they're going to definitely be movers and shakers up and down that top 10 board for sure. For sure. Yeah, I like it. Okay. All right. So any closing thoughts for the full hot take segment before we close out?
I think we're all good. This is gonna be. I will say this: 8 weeks in, we still don't know anything.
No, we've been saying it about 5 or 6 weeks now. We just don't know anything. One thing we do know is we don't know anything.
Yes.
Yeah, we know that. Yeah, I agree. We know that.
If you would have told me that Bijan and the Falcons were going to get absolutely steamrolled by the Dolphins this week, I would have said we need to throw your ass in an insane asylum.
Right. I need you check with CTE, and you hadn't played football, sir. I think I need to check you in. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Oh, sorry. Last thing, not to try to drag the show out any longer. With the Jets beating the Bengals and finally getting a win on the season, the circle of NFL parity is complete. Everybody has beat somebody that's beat somebody else.
How about that? That's a good one. That is a good one.
It's pretty good.
That is good. That is deep. That is deep. And if you didn't pick it up right now, rewind it, watch it again, you'll get it.
Oh yeah.
Let it marinate.
Indeed. All right, gentlemen, we have done it. All right, so if you're looking for the hit squad at any particular point in time, we cover our perspective teams throughout the week. The hit squad covers their own teams throughout the week on the channel. So if you're looking for Commanders Insider News, hit up Mike Dub on his socials, Twitter or Instagram. Hit up Alex, who's in here with us in spirit this week, still dealing with his paternity woes and things of that nature, getting adjusted to parent life. So he'll hopefully be back next week. But if you're looking for him for a Chiefs Insider News, hit him up on Twitter or Instagram. If you look for Chargers Insider News, hit up Young RG, Robert Garcia on Twitter. If you look for any Chargers questions, any Chargers directed information that you need, hit him up. As always, if you're looking for the NFL Nation Live crew, Ref Guru is on Twitter. If you have any NFL referee questions you want to get answered from him, hit him up on Twitter. Violator, if you have any Raiders Superfan questions for him, hit him up on Twitter as well. If you're looking for Captain Jack Rackham in any space for any Raiders questions as well, hit him up on Instagram, YouTube, or Twitter. You get to have those guys there. If you're looking for the Lockdown Diva Sports Network in any facet, for the network, any questions about the network in its entirety, we do sponsor this particular NFL channel and subsidiary channels as well. So hit us up on any of our socials. We're on any and all platforms: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube. Hit that subscribe button on his YouTube channel. Let the YouTube algorithm know we're doing big things out there. So please do that for us. It is free. We appreciate that. And our subsidiary channels, the Electric Shock Podcast, that is sponsored by the Lockdown Divas Sports Network, all Chargers content. Myself and Young RG do content on there regularly, so hit us up there. And we're covering all bases of Chargers news from week to week, so we get all your nitty-gritty and deep dive information there. And if you're looking for any fantasy football advice, we run a fantasy football network as well. The Lightning Fast Fantasy Football Podcast Network is available to you on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Lightning Fast FF on all platforms and that. Hit the subscribe button on those channels if you need any fantasy football advice and get yourself right for each week and get to that fantasy football championship. Myself and Alex Gibbons run that channel, so we'll get there and we'll be live directly tomorrow night at 9 o'clock on our YouTube channel, giving our live show. Check out our content all week throughout the week for any and all fantasy football content news. But there it is, man. So we are done and we are out of here. But as always, we drop a episode for this particular show each and every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be back as always for the Lockdown Blitz, 9 o'clock here right here on this network channel. Any parting words before we get up out of here, gentlemen?
Everybody have a great football weekend, man. That's all I got to say, man. Let's go. Second half.
Indeed. I like
healthy.
it. Yeah, that's another one. That's a good one. All right. That's going to do it for us. For you, Young RG, Robert Garcia, for Coach Mike Dove, for the Violator himself, the man, the myth, the legend. We are out of here. We'll catch you next week. And as always, you got to do one thing and one thing well. You got to step up. Hold on. Where am I drop at? Hold on.
Still holding it.
Yeah, if we got to step up, you got to step up to lock it down.